So here we are, the first video back in the new house. Right now I'm in the office, which I did a tour video. I showed you around the house, and like I said, this is the office. And I have more work to do in here. I mean, I got movies still boxed up, and I have to figure out what I'm going to do as far as shelves and stuff. You know, like build my own shelves, or get some kind of storage cabinet. But so I'm looking at a couple of things, and I got a poster behind me. But yeah, I figured today, I'm going to see the new Mortal Kombat in a couple of hours. Why not share some thoughts on the film beforehand? And I'll say this, with the new Mortal Kombat, watching the trailer, there's some things that I'll say I liked. That there's the gore factor, that goes back to the games, which the first film did not have. I mean, it wasn't rated R. And of course, I think we all would want to see if we could go back to the first movie, make it, R-rated, just go all out with the gore. Though to me, it's still an entertaining film because you have a great cast. Every person in the cast, brought a certain charisma to the characters, which makes it memorable, entertaining. Great fight scenes, choreography, great soundtrack, and it's one of the best video game films. The sequel, not so much. It's definitely not glorious. In the words of Brian Thompson's Shao Kahn, it's definitely not glorious. It's garbage. It's, glorious garbage. No, like I said, it's not glorious. It's garbage. You got Johnny Cage and you kill him off in the first 5 minutes. The two things that I give the sequel, the fight scenes, actually 3. The fight scenes are not bad. The fight scenes, there's some good choreography. So I'll say that. Jax, the actor that played Jax, I thought, he was good in the film. Excuse me. But, the soundtrack is good. Like some of the songs. So, 3 things that I give Mortal Kombat Annihilation. But that's not enough to call it a good movie. It's not enough to, say that it's even okay. To me, it's a garbage sequel. You got James Remar as Raiden, which to me, he's a good actor, but that's a square peg in a round hole as far as casting. I can see why Christopher Lambert didn't come back. I could see why Lyndon Ashby didn't come back. Robin Shaw, of course he came back, but it just seems like a lot of times in the film, he gets, his ass kicked way too much. But like I said, I liked some of the fight scenes. I liked the actor that played Jax, some of the soundtrack. So those 3 things I'll give Annihilation, but it's still not a good movie. Now we fast forward to this reboot. And again, watching the trailers, of course, which I saw the trailer when it came out, and I've seen it more than once since. Okay, like I said, I like how they got the gore in there. But one thing that, to me, is the biggest problem is that the gore, it's all CGI. Will there be some practical in there? Probably. But I think that's going to be a thing that, a lot of people get caught up in is, okay, finally we get the fatalities. They're going all out with the fatalities and the gore and the guts, ripping out spines and what have you. But again, it's all in CGI. And I have a feeling that with this movie, which now it's being considered the best video game film ever, that I don't know about, but it almost seems like the whole CGI aspect of the effects and the blood gets bypassed because now we finally get the fatalities. We get the, gore from the video games that we remember. that people are just going to bypass, the fakery of the effects and the CGI. And that's one thing that I fear with this movie. That's going to get a bypass, because, finally we get the proper Mortal Kombat film, because it's R-rated, because it's hardcore, because, they've gone all out. They've gone all out on this movie. The cast. I mean, I look at the cast. There might be one or two actors that maybe I look forward to, that maybe, have some moments to shine in the film, like the actor that plays Liu Kang. I know he was in the Power Rangers reboot, and he might be okay. I mean, the guy that plays Kano, we'll see what happens. But I'm not sure about this cast. In the original film, you had really good actors that filled in those roles in an entertaining fashion. And again, each actor brought a certain charisma to the role, whether it be Christopher Lambert as Lord Raiden, or Robin Shou as Liu Kang, especially Lyndon Ashby as Johnny Cage. And that's another thing that this reboot, that character's totally absent. And all the reasons, which I've heard different things, that either he's problematic, which I don't understand and I don't get, or they're trying to save him for the sequel. So why didn't you bring him in the first place? Instead, you get this, jabroni Cole, birthmark Cole is what I call him, because in the trailer he has the birthmark. I mean, you might as well just have BM written right here, as an acronym for birthmark, like the letters BM, and say, oh, he was born with it. Oh, what, the letters BM? What does it stand for? Beastmaster? Bill Murray? Bowel movement? I mean, it's just, this character is not needed. At the end of the day, I got a feeling with this character, after I see this movie, I'm just going to be completely indifferent with the Cole character. And apparently that the studios demanded a new character doesn't surprise me. That's the studios for you. Why couldn't we get Johnny Cage in there from the get-go? And why save him for the sequel? Which I think apparently they're making 3 or 4 more. I could be wrong, but yeah, apparently they're making, a franchise here. And again, it begs the question, why could you not have brought in Johnny Cage from the get-go? I'm not saying that, you have to go back and get Lyndon Ashby. But the character, people remember. People remember Johnny Cage. At the end of the day, no matter how this movie turns out, which I know it's getting praise and all that stuff, but are people at the end of the day really going to talk about Cole? Are people at the end of the day really going to remember this character? What's the purpose? What's the purpose of this character? And I know some of the arguments may be, well, okay, let's say if you take out the Cole character, and people are going to say, well, okay, let's make Liu Kang the lead character. Then some other fans are going to go, why couldn't Kung Lao be the main character? Why couldn't they have Scorpion be the main character, or Sub-Zero? So there's that argument. But again, to me, a character like Johnny Cage is more memorable, and people are familiar with that name, than a Cole, birthmark Cole. So I don't get the whole, thing of, we got to have a new character. To me, it doesn't make sense. And maybe, okay, you want to save Johnny Cage? Then make Liu Kang the main character. People are familiar with the Liu Kang. But again, it goes back to people say, well, why not Kung Lao? Why not Scorpion? Why not Sub-Zero? But again, I say people are more familiar with Liu Kang. Again, are people going to really care about this Cole character? Even when, which I'm about to see, we're going to go out to eat first, and then we're going to see the movie. But still, it's just that whole feeling I'm getting is with this new character, I'm going to be completely indifferent. I mean, yeah, some of the fight scenes might be good. Of course, you're going to have CGI. You know, the character of Goro is going to be all CGI. I don't understand why can't you have, you know, why can't you make it practical? Why can't it just be a practical animatronic? Or, you know, if you want to make it put a guy in a suit and just kind of work on it. Put little CGI touches on the suit. So, and I don't think this cast has the personality of the original cast. And that's another thing that I worry about is that I look at this cast and I'm not seeing the personality of the original film. You know, and I'm not sure about this director. I don't know what he's going to bring to this reboot. But again, I look at the cast and I'm like, you know, where's the personality? Where's, you know, the charisma, you know, that we should see from these characters? Because again, in the original, you had Christopher Lambert, Lyndon Ashby, and yeah, it may be just enough to sort of get by as a film that could be enjoyable, or, you know, I want to be surprised. You know, at the end of the day, I want to be entertained. I'm not going to say this is going to be a bad movie, but at the same time, from the trailers and, you know, some of the vibes of the monotone acting that I see in the CGI, which again is a problem, I'm just not sure about this movie. I mean, people are going to say, well, we finally get the right Mortal Kombat film, the proper, you know, Mortal Kombat film, you know, with the fatalities and the gore and the blood. But again, I think a lot of people are just going to, yeah, we're going to get some of that in these films. And this film, you know, we're probably going to have some good fight scenes and good choreography, but again, I worry about the lack of personalities, standout characters. Not having Johnny Cage there, to me, is a big thing, a big factor. I mean, do people really care about Cole? No. But, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens at the end of the day. I will do a review of this film. Maybe I'll go back and review, you know, the first film and the second film. But being my first video back, I figured why not share thoughts on the film beforehand and then do a review of the reboot after I see it. But that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.